And we're live with The Road. So today I'm joined with what some people might know as Zlatan Ibrahimovic, but it is actually ExWarrior, and he is a caster for Relog Media at this point in time, and more or less like a freelance caster. And maybe you don't recognize him, but I'm sure you will recognize his voice when you've seen the matches. So welcome to the show, ExWarrior.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Really nice to be here. And yeah, yes, just to clarify, it is freelance. I'm not like under like a contract only with Relog Media. I work all sorts. But yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So let's just start out. Well, why did you choose Counter Strike, and why did you choose specifically casting instead of playing the game?
Okay, so playing, I don't think I was good enough. The only game I tried to sort of approach from a player was Overwatch, and that was like when the game released, and for a couple of years I played that religiously. That was pretty much the only game I was half decent at, but I never put in enough time to actually compete in high tournaments. Although I was in a team for just a little bit for a few months, it was never something that I was very serious about. But yeah, for Counter Strike, I'd never consider it. I was never really decent in a Counter Strike. And yeah, why did I choose Counter Strike for esports? That's a good question because that depends when you're asking me, right? Because if you ask me when I started casting in Europe, so that would be in 2019. No, actually, no, 2020. 2020.
Hmm.
The January 2020. That was when I just made the decision I'm gonna pursue casting. The reason why I did that was because I love the game, I knew the game. But mainly due to the fact that the esports scene of Counter-Strike in Europe was massive, and I knew that I'd have more opportunities to cast, more opportunities to get somewhere with it. So it was half a strategical one, half a, why not? This seems to be what's available right now. Let's go for it. Although, like, at the time, I felt more like I could even take on a color caster role for Overwatch due to the fact that I knew the game quite extensively because I played it that much. Like for Counter Strike, I couldn't really say the same. I'm not well rounded with a lot of strategies, thus being the play by play mostly. Well, not only because I don't know Counter Strike that much, because I really enjoy play by play, but yeah, no, it was just circumstantial, and I guess um, it was just what was there at the time. But I love it, and I'll keep on doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you basically come into this space not really knowing much about it, and then like in 1.5 years you were casting in front of like 2,000 people on a regular basis, actually. So that's actually quite impressive. So how do you how did you get into become like this? You can say successful at this point, actually. To
Oh.
yeah, how did it turn out to be? Instead of being this local caster for some kind of unknown team and just casting their matches, to just actually get in here and like it's not even like the Twitter following that's super massive for you. So it's like how did this happen?
Yeah, no, the Twitter following is a weird thing. I don't like. I've never really followed the idea of someone that has most follows is probably the most talented or the best one out there. So I'm not really going to get into that. And I'm not really interested in developing following. Yeah,
Hmm.
no,
Yeah.
following is the right word to say it, right? Um, yeah, what was the initial question again?
Yeah. Well, so
How do I start? How
how
do I
did it
start?
start? How
Yeah,
did you get into
yeah.
Relog? Like how did you get this massive deal?
Right. Okay. So I used to cast in Cyprus, right? Cyprus is my home country. That's where I grew up. And I don't know. For a couple of years, I took that. It was all. It was all. Mostly at the start, it was all just for fun. I don't know. I enjoyed casting. I was doing like a mini tournament with some friends, and we were like, they were playing some sort of fighting game, and I just all of a sudden decided, all right, I'm just gonna cast over it just for fun, just for giggles. And yeah, like people were like, damn, dude, you can actually do it. You should take it. You should do something about it. And I'm like, maybe I will. And I didn't really do anything about it until we had the Overwatch community of Cyprus. We had like this Facebook group. I wanted to organize that a 1v1 tournament, and basically everyone, it was chaos. It was just a community event. Everyone was on the Twitch stream while watching the games and was like, hey, does anyone know how to commentate? And this guy was having a go, oh, how do you commentate 1v1 Winstone? It's so boring. And I'm like, well, I can give it a go. And I actually I gave it a go with a 1v1 commentary on Winstone, and everyone was like, what? Which yeah, no, it was really fun. And so yeah, another Overwatch Community Cup happened, which I officially then was the caster for it. Like I never got paid for it. Like it was just full voluntarily, all for fun. And that tournament, turns out a guy that worked for casting in the Cyprus Comic Con fighting games was watching it.
Hmm.
And he messaged me, and to this day, the guy is an amazing dude. He's a friend of mine, John Vosku, also known as Amarochi, if anybody has got an idea who he is. But he's a lovely guy, and he's pretty much the reason why I'm here. Like he's the first reason to why where I am here, where I am where I am. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have gotten gigs in Comic Con. I initially, my first LAN event was a Street Fighter tournament. Later on, the next Comic Con, I did Overwatch 1v1s. I was going to do Counter-Strike 1v1s, but my voice fell through, so I didn't really do that. But yeah, that's how I got into the LAN space, and that's how the Cypriot community started to notice. Oh, there's that one caster that does Overwatch and Counter-Strike. There's that one caster. I started doing commentary at a net cafe for a local net cafe as well. For their tournaments, and in exchange, I'd cast their tournaments, and in exchange, they'd give me like free time on the computers, and because my internet was crap at home, I could even stream there, so that was really cool. Didn't last long because I was on my final year, but yeah, no, like I had to sort of take a break from that, and due to the fact that it was my finals for high school, and also had to go into the military. So my military service for 14 months. I had to like easily take 6 months off due to the high school finals and everything, because I wanted to do good. I wanted to get into university.
Yeah.
So I kind of fell through on that, but like during my military service, there was this tournament announced, Cyprus Game Show, which the lads at Kinks. I'm saying names right now. I don't even know if people know them, but
No, it's fine.
I'm shouting them out. They organized this makeshift Gamescom kind of thing where it was like a DreamHack event, DreamHack LAN, if you will, but in a very small sort of way due to the fact of being Cyprus. But they try to make it sort of like a convention. And that was like my first proper LAN, because that was like Comic-Con is a place where everybody just walks around. Yes, there are seats for the tournament, but Gamescom was actually Games Show was actually a place where you go to watch the tournaments, go and sit down. There's the audience, there's the arena. So that was like my first cast, and it was that was Overwatch actually 6v6, and I did it with Amarochi again. And it was amazing. Like both on Comic-Con and Game Show, I loved it. It was amazing. It's spectacular. I recommend 10 out of 10. No, I'm looking forward to the day which I can do another LAN, because the response you get from the audience while casting is something completely different to the online era of casting. It's the reason why I'm doing this. It's the reason why I'm passionate about casting, and where I want to get to. Like, I want to cast at LANs. I want to cast where audience is there. I want to feel the energy of the crowd, and I want to be one of the people hyping them up. I want that so much, and that's pretty much where I started. But as I said, like military service, I had to take a break. Just as I finished the military service, I moved to Amsterdam to start my uni. I didn't have my computer with me. I only had a really shitty laptop, so I couldn't really stream or start casting or anything like that. Although I had it at the back of my mind, but for another 6 months, I didn't really do anything. After winter holidays, I kind of brought my computer over. I put it together, and I started looking for places to get in the European space, because I had no access. I only did Cypriot stuff. Like, no one knew me, right? Yeah. I didn't even have a Twitter account. I did, but I never used it. I didn't. So I only had like 10 followers or 20 followers, whatever. And those were all like friends or family, you know, back in the day when I made Twitter. So yeah, I decided to make a little bit of a video, a little bit of a show reel from my previous experiences, and I looked for opportunities, either by searching for them or like I didn't even know the space. I didn't know the amateur scene. I didn't know the tier 2 scene. I didn't know it. I looked for everything. I looked for Overwatch. I looked for Counter Strike, and yeah, the one of the first things I stumbled on upon, but the thing that um the one place that actually responded back to me was Lucifer League.
Mm.
Lucifer League, the guys at Lucifer, like Nick basically responded. Mr. Nick is his name on Discord, is his handle. And he said, yeah, okay, what is your experience? Sure, go ahead. So these guys were like the only amateur tournament that was sort of paying their casters at the time as well. So that was pretty cool. I mean, it wasn't much. It was like €5 per map. So yeah, no, like I was obviously not going to do that for the money, but I wanted to get into the European scene. So like I had no experience in the European scenes and nobody knew me. So I thought, got to start from somewhere, you know? That's where I started from. I covered their tournament. I ended up doing their final as well because they liked me. That was when I like bought my first mic. It sounded shit. I sounded shit. But you know, I had a lot of positive response from the Lucifer guys. Like I liked them, they liked me. It's a lovely community, and it still is. Which is why I'm sort of helping them out on some stuff now. For whenever they want to organize a tournament, I'll try and help out with the talent. Be there for advice or for hosting their cups. I'm more than happy to do that kind of stuff for them. And yeah, that's sort of where I started. That's sort of where I started casting in tournaments. From there, I guess I got in contact with Vortex Entertainment. And I started casting in their stuff. Yeah, various different tournaments. And yeah, slowly but surely, you know, the rates increased as well. The caliber of tournaments I casted got better. Oh man, I've never talked about myself for so long. It
No,
feels
it's
so
fine.
weird.
It's fine.
And yeah, no, slowly but surely things increased. They got better. The guy Kieran that run Vortex really like supported what I did. Like it seemed like he enjoyed my casting, which is he started offering me some opportunities on the side as well. One of the first ones that I covered together with some other guys. I guess I think this was a phase when I sort of thought, okay, I can actually do tier 2 casting. Was when I do it when I was one of the casters for CE Champions back in November. Like that was when I was like, I enjoy what I do, even if it's online. Like I want to carry on doing this. And he then brought me on to Relogs and Grid's 9 to 5 series, which I stood in as a duo for him. So like he had another duo, and I'd be kind of the guy that would stand in for the other one that couldn't make it. And yeah, no, I started getting more games in the 9 to 5 series, covering really good tier 2 teams, where I started getting more clips. I made another show reel about it at the end of the year. And yeah, no, the experience started to build up. And yeah, so I liked working with the Relog. Apparently, as Kieran mentioned to me, that Relog liked working with me, so we signed a deal to start with. Okay, that was my speaker, my Bluetooth speaker that just shut off. It surprised me. Yeah, no. So we started. So I started covering Snow Sweet Snow with the guy. Snow Sweet Snow with them, all the sweet events. And yeah, it was nice. Yeah, a lot of people may have heard a lot of the fiasco that went on
Mm.
during that time, but I'm just gonna skip through it because there's no need to touch up on it anymore.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm still working with them. I'm still working with Relog. They're amazing people. I really do like them. And I guess I get it why you called me a Relog caster, because most of the work I do is with them. Like the most of the work I get throughout the year is with those guys. But yeah, no, I do it. I'm a freelancer, and during this time, like I've done quite a few various events. Right, it wasn't just for these guys. I've now I've been in contact with the Fantasy Expo crew, which means I casted tournaments like Blast Rising, which was a massive thing for me. Like I couldn't comprehend that I'd be working with Blast, you know.
Yeah.
It just it's still like it amazes me, you know. Yeah, it's not Blast for me, obviously not, but it's just so cool that I am where I am. I also, due to like being in contact with Fantasy Expo, I am now covering their European Development Champion. I'm one of the myself and Wild Deity are one of the duos in the European Development Championship series. Um, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I've got a lot of gigs going on right now, which is a blessing. As a freelance caster, it is a blessing. It's a blessing to have consistent work. It's a blessing to know that you can pay the bills by doing what you do, and you know, I love it. I love it. I absolutely do. And you know, I'm still waiting for that LAN event to come up. I am going to keep on pursuing it. I am going to keep on looking for the first ones that they start to pop up after this Corona crisis. But it, that because that is my goal, right? Cast into the biggest lands, do cast custom Asia. Like
Mm,
that is the dream.
yeah.
That is what I'm fighting for. You know. And yeah, hopefully it will come
Yeah.
sooner or later. I know I'm not ready for that yet. I'm still working on myself. I'm still trying to improve as a caster, build my experiences, improve my play by play, have a better vocabulary, be more interesting, and also get increase my knowledge of the game. But in general terms, I want to improve. I want to be I like I feel like an imposter if I casted a major right now with all the great casters that are out there. I am not there yet, but I know that I'm working hard enough to reach that one day, and I will.
Yeah, great. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah,
It
it's a
was,
lot. I went on
yeah,
a massive,
yeah. It's fine.
yeah,
It's
massive
fine.
talking spree.
So let's start about let's start with one of the first things you mentioned was university. So you got
Hmm,
into university, and can you maybe tell me a bit about how to balance both university and casting and how that works out for you?
that's a good question.
Yeah.
That is a really good question.
Oh yeah, and what you are studying as well, if you don't
Oh
mind.
yeah. So I study computer science at the Freedom University in Amsterdam. Um, so okay, how do I balance casting with university? So like I said, I had 6 months at the start of my uni that I didn't cast at all. That was me doing my uni work, me trying to adjust to the real world after doing 14 months of military service. It's a weird adjustment period for me, but yeah. So I mainly like put all my efforts in uni, and I had pretty decent results. All my grades were above 8, so I was pretty happy with that.
Hmm.
So when I started casting, um, the start was a slow one, right? I didn't always have gigs. I didn't always have something to do. So it wasn't really too much of a problem to uh, put to do two things simultaneously. I think the biggest challenge that I found was at the end of 2020. Like that's when the issue started to come around. That's when I had more gigs.
Hmm.
That was I guess from October to the end of the year. So well, yeah, November, October, and December. You know, those 3 months were sort of where I started to struggle. That is where I failed my first exams in uni,
Hmm.
and I had to take the resits in January, which I did pass. Thankfully, I did quite a bit of studying during the holidays. Hopefully, well, I didn't really want to, but you know, I wanted to pass, so
Yeah.
it had to happen. But yeah, that's when I realized, okay, there's a struggle here. I need to be well organized. I need to handle my outings, as in going out with friends, a little bit better. I need to set myself a very strict schedule when it comes to studying and not leave it to that last point. Because if I want to have a casting gig in my exam week and it's a good one, I want to pick it up.
Mm.
Because a lot of these things sort of come up 2 weeks or 2 weeks beforehand, two to 3 weeks, or maybe even a week, depends on the thing. Um, um, like filling in for other casters is sort of where you start to get into newer gigs and where companies find out about you, and then you can be one of the main casters in their next event. So stuff like that is important, especially when you're starting off in the tier 2, tier 3 scene, like
Yeah.
when nobody knows you. That's kind of where you have to start. So yeah, no, I realized that I had to be very religious with my studying. I had to be very consistent with what I did, and I had to have a good plan. It all sounds nice and dandy, like in when you say, "Oh, you have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
plan, you follow it." It was very challenging, and it still is. As a uni student, also at the same time, you want to go out, get drunk, have fun with friends. I'm in Amsterdam, so maybe get high.
Yeah.
So it's and you want to live the student life, and I want to live. I don't want to pass through uni and say that I haven't lived my student years. Like I don't want to live with regrets.
Yeah.
So I want to experience it, and I am, but I need to limit those days. I need to choose when I go out rather than going. It has to only be like once a week, so I can cover like evening events and have time to study. So it's a compromise.
Yeah.
You compromise, and my grades are not eights and overs right now. Like I don't dedicate enough time for studying to get good grades like that, because due to casting, I pretty much study to pass. You
Mm.
know,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get I get my sixes, I get my sevens, and I'm happy with them because they're not my main focus.
Yeah.
Although, like, one of my main focuses is to finish my bachelor degree, maybe get a minor in business and get into the world of esports business later on in my life. But um, yeah, no, I want to finish this bachelor. Like, I don't want to leave it like I have. Like, my parents have invested money in me
Mm.
to get myself a bachelor, and I don't want this. I'm already in the end of my second year, right? So I've got 1 year to go to do my minor, do my dissertation or thesis, however you want to put it, and get the course. So get the bachelor.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I don't want to leave it how it is. I don't want to go full time on casting, which I could. I
Mm.
definitely could. Um, I could definitely be doing a lot more than I'm doing right now. Um, but yeah, finish uni is also a priority. But yeah, I'm not sure if that covers it. But it's compromise and good planning.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna fail, so you need to be you're gonna have to account for that. But do it as much as you can.
Yeah, again, that's like what do you say? Like, it's like a drawback of having a passion that is so time consuming, which Counter
Yeah.
Strike is, and with like the calendar and how it is. So now when let's talk a bit about you and your casting and maybe your duo partner. So right now you are duoing mostly with Neokai. Is it is
Mm.
it only you two, or is it just maybe a like, do you have this true duo that you're doing everything with?
Okay, interesting you saying Neokai, because yeah, I guess recently I've done quite a few gigs with Neo.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess I'm actually doing I'm actually in a duo with Wild Deity right now. So that's
Ah.
kind of what we're looking at. Um he's also in uni. He's actually finishing this year, so right now it's exam season for him. So picking up gigs has been a little bit more hard for him than it has been for me, because my uni calendar is a little bit more spread out. I have 2 exams every 2 months. I
Mm.
don't have all my exams at the end of a 6 months period. I've got it's more. I've got steady workload throughout the year. Well, it seems like Walderi has a lot of workload at the end of the year. So right now it's really tough for him to pick up gigs, which is why I've been casting with Neo, because I love casting with Neo.
Mm.
Such a good guy, and yeah. I mean, he's a color cast. I'm a play-by-play. It works out, and also I have fun with the guy, so why not? So while there, he's been having quite a lot of exam gigs going on. Exam gigs? Don't even know if exams are gigs. But, he's had a lot of exams going on, so he's been studying for that, presentations and everything. So yeah. So we're not officially a duo. Like we're not a duo that we know that we'll be spending the next 2-3 years together as trying to cast. We're kind of in that testing period, see how good we are with each other. Because we both want to improve on our respective roles. We both want to become a good all-rounder casters, and we both want a duo partner we can rely on that we work and synergize well with. Yeah, and I like him. We're doing really good so far. He likes me as well. We're slowly falling in love. No, it's going well. It's going well. Don't know how long it will last, but that's why we're in this testing period, right? We're trying to see if it works, and so far so good.
Yeah. Okay. So it's nice. It's nice. So okay. This is something I wanted to ask you since the beginning. So do you have one match or maybe one best of 3 that you feel like was the most fun for you to cast, but also where you did it the best? So like some kind of like highlight to shout out yourself and your casting.
Oh wow. One particular best of 3.
Yeah, or just one game maybe.
Okay, well, I guess I recently I've been experimenting with various casting styles to sort of get a feel of what I want to do. Because so far, like at the start of this year, I've sort of gone by the speak fast, be impressive while you cast, like be a rap god kind of thing.
Yeah.
I try to adapt that into my casting. Sort of worked, but then I realized it became very monotone and very it becomes a little bit uninteresting after a while. So I wanted to test out new things, like try and take bits and pieces from other greater casters out there and try and adapt new things. And what has happened kind of unwillingly, it sort of happened while I was casting, is that in various clips, and 2 or 3 clips so far that have sort of, one of them is a little bit more famous than the other. Is that I actually like sing during a cast. So like there was this one, was it BTN? I know it was Extremum playing against another team, and one of the players of Extremum did a ninja defuse with all on Dust 2, on B site of Dust 2, and while all 5 players left the site, and he like snuck in and defused the bomb.
Yeah.
And I just did like I sang through it, and that went like that was on the front. It was like the #1 thread on Reddit, on the CS:GO Reddit, and we had a lot of. I was actually casting that with Neocam. We had a lot of positive feedback from that. So yeah, no, that was really interesting. I really like the fact that I had something unique in my own casting. I guess something else was when Dreamer from Fiend, again, I don't remember what team he was playing up against, but he did like an amazing 1v3 clutch, and I started singing John Lennon's song, and you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And while he was clutching, and it just worked perfectly. Like it was like a clip on its own. Like it was beautiful. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's on my Twitter right now. I think I've put it up, shared it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are like various things like that make my casting interesting and different, is kind of what I can look back on. But if you tell me specific exciting game, I don't think I can think of one in particular right now, because I've covered so many. It kind of like it all blends into one, you know?
Yeah. So it's more like highlights. Like, I mean, you've already basically answered the question in saying, these clips were super cool. So that kind of leads towards like the games also being quite good. And I mean, I remember the Dust 2 game, and I was laughing out loud. Like it was so fun, because that's literally, I've never seen, like, I've followed Counter-Strike since 2014, and I've not seen a caster sync during a broadcast, So that's amazing. Like that's some kind of trait that's very unique to you only. And even with the landscape of like quite a lot of casters now, that's like something unique that you have. So I think that's super cool to have it, to have something unique. you know, Sponge is an Australian and he plays on that. You know, Machine is just a fucking
Oh
beast.
yeah,
Yeah, you know.
what a
So
beast. Yeah,
so yeah, like even Kremer has his own style of like
yeah,
articulating things, and you know. So
yeah,
and then you have the singing. I mean,
yeah. I
maybe
guess
like yeah, maybe like your child.
maybe I should
Mm,
like push it a little bit further. You know, maybe I should like try and put in some more singing in there because I don't sing all the time. You know, I just
yeah,
need
yeah,
to find that perfect situation where it fits.
yeah.
Because you can't always sing
No, no,
because
no.
yeah, it's not
Yeah,
something that can always be put into your cast.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
something
that's
very rare, actually.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's what like Sadokist did really well with, you know, all the references
Oh
came in
yes,
with,
yeah,
you know. That was something that really
yeah.
created like a storyline and made hype for for the viewers.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
so let's so now we've touched a bit upon a various bit of topics. So I think it would be fun if we talk about Dinked, because now you've tried to be on 2 times, and I think you're gonna be a main third guy as well. And yeah, the last
Okay.
one was kind of went out of, let's say, it went a bit crazy.
Yeah, no, it did. We had cats chewing on Ethernet cables. We've
Yeah,
had two people in the background being fairly drunk.
yeah,
It was a
fighting
fun
over a
one. It was
cat.
a fun one.
Yeah. So let me like so Kramer he asks you if you want to join our, you know, the first time you come on, and
Mhm.
so yeah, we like how did he sell it to you? Why did you want to try it out?
Hmm. I think at the time I was casting. I was doing some Valorant casting. And he said, "Yo, do you want to join? Do you want to join a podcast tonight? We'll be drinking and all. Myself and another guy." I was like, I finish at this time. Can we do it a little bit later? I'd be happy to join. You know, and like he said, it was podcast. So I was like, yo, what kind of podcast? Because like I was already working for, I think I had like a 6 or 7 hour working day.
Mm, yeah.
I knew I'd be tired. So I just, yeah, asked what kind of podcast. Oh, it's really chill. You know, it's you drink on the we drink and stuff throughout it. We've got some weird topics and everything. Just come over here and just talk, or we'll just have fun. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, that was pretty much the whole idea. That's how he sold it to me.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the first? I mean, yeah, again, we're not the biggest, you know, we don't do it for the viewers. I mean, it doesn't really matter. We do it because it's super fun. I mean, I do it
Yeah,
because it's super fun.
yeah, it
And
is.
yeah, and so, like, what do you think of the first episode? I mean, I don't know why, but somehow it becomes super historical every single time. I mean, even when me and Kremer did it alone, it was just like, then he taught me about like the Pakistan and Iraq, you know, and he taught me about. Oh, there's so much, you
It's a
know.
lovely combination, you know,
Yeah.
because you start off with something fairly serious and usually esports related, and the more you drink, the more crazy the topics get, and it kind of goes in hand very nicely. It's a really nice combination. I'm not quite sure like how people perceive it and how they would like to watch that kind of stuff. Like I'm sure like there's interest in it, but from the inside, um, like being in it, it's just fun. It's just fun talking about stuff, and the more you get drunk, the more weird the discussions get. So the more funny it becomes, and you and Krem are like really funny guys. So there's always some banter gonna go on. There's always gonna be some stupid reference going on that will make us laugh. So you know, whenever you guys are involved in it, then it's definitely gonna be fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's good because like I wanted to get your take on it because we have like this super like not serious podcast, and even we talked about the Kieran stuff, you know,
Mm,
and then we still, you know, went away, and then it became stupid again later, you know. So
yeah.
and then you can like compare it to, was it Esports 7 or whatever they called it, the other one where they were just super ham, you know, super and you know there's like this difference in philosophy almost. So
Mm.
like maybe not just you as a viewer, but maybe you as a like when you're a part of it. Like how do you feel like this dynamic works? Like, is it something you're happy with? I mean,
Mm.
is it fun to be a part of? Basically, like, is it something? Yeah.
It's definitely fun to be a part of. Like I love being on the podcast with you guys. It's always fun. There's always going to be some fun discussion, and I'm always going to have a laugh. There's always going to be a fun story. But like the dynamic of having something more serious, it just depends on the topic for me. Like
Mm,
I listen to podcasts. I listen to podcasts, and I'll listen to funny ones that people get drunk or high on the podcast and like talk about nonsense or like stories. For example, the Misfits podcast. If you've
Yeah.
ever seen it, like I'll listen to that every once in a while. But I also like I watch um, the esports podcast. I think it's called the business of esports, the business of
Mm.
esports podcast, which is yeah, the two guys doing it have got some banter between them, and it's a really uplifting mood. But it's a serious context. They talk about serious business related stuff in the world of esports, and it it's definitely a lot more serious than just drinking on stream and just talking about anything. You know, everything, all of them have very nice points to them. It just matters of the context, what you're talking about, and the people involved. You know,
Mm.
it's all just a blend of nice things, and I think Dinked kind of gets that. I like that. They've got a nice little, like the podcast has a very nice little blend,
Yeah.
which I really like.
Yeah, that's amazing. So another thing I wanted to ask you about was well, you talk about Gamescom and you tried this LAN for the first time. So I'm guessing you haven't been to LAN since you've been to the
No,
Gamescom. Or
no.
yeah, that's so sad. But so like when we see the world slowly opening up, I mean, uh, is the minor business degree something that you're seriously considering, or if you get like an offer to do full time casting, is like, do you want to put it on hold? Like how do you think about like this?
Um, okay, so if I get an opportunity to, so say tomorrow someone
Yeah,
comes up to me, hey, if Riot comes up to me and says,
yeah,
"Hi, we want you on the main Valorant broadcast for the Masters, on the main stuff, and that kind of that all those games, we want you as a full timer in Riot." Um, I I think the answer would be yes. Like
yeah.
I definitely go and head into that because it's a dream of mine. You
Mm,
know, like I watched the LEC, LCS, European LCS as a teenager growing up. You know, I love seeing Quick Shot, Deficio, Shocks, all those guys come and like do that kind of stuff and be the personalities on air. Absolutely. I'm not close to that point, so that's not going to happen. Um, but if I had something like equivalent to that, for example, if ESL or have got something frequent, or I don't know, like anything of that sort of equivalence, I'd say yes. Anything that can still allow me to be freelance, if it's like just the one tournament or two tournaments here and there, and still gives me the delicacy of being a freelance and having the delicacy of choosing my own time schedule, um, I would accept it, but I try and do my minor at the same time.
yeah. Okay.
Because I'm sort of investing in my future, right? Because like I want to do casting for a long time. I've got a long goal. I want to cast a major. It will take me some time to get there, but I'm also looking in the future. Like I'm not going to be casting all my life. I know that all the casters at some point stop and try and transition to something else. And since I'm already doing this bachelor, I might as well have it in preparation of what comes next after that, or maybe during, because I'm a guy that loves doing two things at the same time. I'm never going to really do that one thing. So maybe like I don't know.
Yeah,
You never know. It's kind of like a precaution, if
yeah.
you will.
Yeah, yeah, you always have something to fall back on. That's what I
Mm.
normally say. Like
Yeah.
that's also what I'm saying with my, bachelor's and masters I'm taking now. So,
Hmm.
but yeah, that's super interesting. I mean, it's a very healthy mindset. So, I mean, I want to make it. I don't know if you want to, but we could have this kind of discussion of Overwatch 2 coming out, since you are
Okay. Sure.
now as like some of the final points before we end. I think it will
Okay.
be kind of fun because you talked about being competitive in Overwatch, and now with the Overwatch 2 there's going to be a single player mode, but most
Hmm.
importantly for us there's going to be a 5v5 instead of
6v6.
6v6.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and the off tank role is gonna get cut. So it's still role queue. It's still one tank and then two DPS, two supports.
Hmm.
So what is your initial like thoughts about this?
All right. I What concerns me, like what I wanted out of Overwatch while I played it, is for it to become a valiant esports,
Hmm.
like an esports that works, an esports scheme that brings in teams that and has a really competitive space, and everybody wants to watch it, like the big games are, like Counter-Strike and League of Legends. Because I fell in love with Overwatch back in the day. Like I was in love with it. I was in love with the lore. I was in love with the characters. I was in love with the esports scene. Um, I loved playing the game and the people involved and the people I played with. I've fallen out of love with Overwatch. Like it was it didn't hold me on. I was a tank main as well, so it became very frustrating to play. And in a sense, they left the game to die in order to put more efforts into Overwatch 2. But I cannot think of a world where they made also very massive esports related mistakes. The Overwatch League and the way it started and the way it became a thing, it was, in my opinion, the wrong way to approach making a video game an esport. They tried to force it too hard when everyone wasn't ready. It's dissented. Well, I can't think of a word, but it didn't help teams to get into the space. They wanted a solid monopoly, and for example, like one of the big, I remember like 2017 or something like that, or even just a few months into the game when Overwatch League was announced, or they were going to do something like that. A lot of big teams disbanded their squads. Like Fnatic, for example, were one of the first ones to go. I was like, Fnatic, they're disbanding an Overwatch team. They're leaving the esports space.
Yeah.
That's weird. Like a lot more like followed through. I can't quite put my finger on them, but I visibly remember hearing Fnatic being one
Yeah.
of the first ones to like let go of their teams. I was like, they're not going to invest in this, are they? They don't believe in it, and it just felt like some people believed in it. Like there were big teams like Envy and I guess Misfits and like the ones that created like Dallas Fuel and
Yeah.
whatever Mayhem, Florida Mayhem was it? I can't quite, I don't remember, but yeah, like there were some teams that made the Overwatch League, but anyway, in the long term, they made those esports mistakes, and due to the mistakes, whatever happens with Overwatch 2, and I believe whatever they bring out, it's never gonna build the Overwatch following, the esports following that they initially wanted, and it's never gonna reach League of Legends or Counter-Strike or Dota. It's never gonna do that.
Yeah.
I like it's never gonna do that. It might reach Rainbow Six Siege if they manage to build it up in a matter of years. Like Overwatch 2 gets released and they consistently make good decisions and have a really good game that everybody keeps on playing, and they manage to draw back the esports scene. But the current way the Overwatch League works and the current way that all the whole esports scene around it is evolved, it's not going to work as an esports. What I'm hoping right now for the game is that it's a fun experience to play with friends. That's it, because I've got a lot of friends that still play it.
Yeah.
If I can play the PvE or PvP with some friends and just have a laugh, because I think I played the game like a couple of days ago and I really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to keep on playing it because it becomes a little bit tiring.
Yeah.
I just want it to become a fun game that I can play, but I do not have high hopes for it as an esport, as
No.
I once upon a time did.
But I mean, yeah. Again, you talked about them shooting themselves in the foot, but I mean, you pay $20 million for a franchise slot, and then you cannot even call it your own like organization name. I mean, that's
yeah.
And the like, I
Big
feel
flop.
yeah, exactly, and I feel like the only reason why it works in Call of Duty is because it has this massive following of just mostly North American fans.
Yes.
In the to begin with,
Yep.
and they were already filling out stadiums, and now you just have slapped that like a title, like a city title, but it's still called like so Atlanta Face, or you know what they're called,
or Optic or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like Dallas Fuel. Well, who is Dallas Fuel?
Who are they? Yeah.
Who's London Spitfire? Oh, well, that's Cloud9. Well, what?
What? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, so
it's
yeah. I mean, it's just like this idea. But also, since Valorant came out, I'm looking at Overwatch and I'm just watching, FPS MOBA with a lot of shields instead of this FPS shooter where the aim is most important, but in Overwatch it's like Widowmaker. That's aim, and then the rest is abilities, more or less.
Mm.
And then you
Yeah.
have even Soldier with an aimbot as an ultimate.
I mean, it's an interesting one. Like it's the whole game. It's
Yeah,
how the game works. It's not 100% aim based. Like Valorant, you could go with the aim. Oh, we heavily rely on the it's a heavy skill based and shooting based thing, and abilities don't kill, and this whole meme about abilities actually killing in Valorant. That's actually something that the Overwatch team hasn't really approached. Right?
yeah,
They want the abilities to be the main thing, and someone with with spatial awareness can well be one of the better players in the world. Um, Without having that mechanical skill, like aiming mechanical skill. And a good example for that, a lot of tank mains out there. For example, XQC, when he got out there, his aim isn't great. You know, he's not one of the best aimers out there, but he was definitely one of the better tanks because he knew how to work around the map and he knew how to prioritize different targets.
yeah,
His awareness on the whole, and on having awareness on like your 5 teammates and your 6 opponents is not an easy thing, and what everyone can do and what all their abilities and their cooldowns and how to work around all that is difficult, you know, and skill based. I'm not gonna like bash on Overwatch. Oh, you don't need any skill to do that. No, you do need, but it's a different skill set.
mm.
Yeah, there are sharing elements since it's a first person shooter, and obviously the DPS characters like McCree and Widowmaker, you have to like have sharp aim, and when you do have sharp aim, it pays off. Like we've
Oh
seen
yeah,
like Pine back in the day, man. When I was watching Overwatch League, I really don't watch it anymore, but
yeah,
but you know, like when Sinatra we used to play Overwatch, you know, everybody would be like, oh my god, his aim is so crisp.
yeah,
um and it works out, you know, but it comes with a bag of other skill sets. But um yeah, like in that also, but the fact that it's a whole completely different thing, it doesn't really work when you're watching it, right?
yeah,
And if you're in it, you know what is going on, you know what you have to do. But as a spectator, it doesn't quite work. It's fairly chaotic. You know,
yeah.
it's really difficult to make that work.
I would say it's not viewer friendly, but then again,
Yeah.
so League of Legends is not viewer friendly as well. But there's such a lot. No, I mean, like you, if I've never seen League of Legends before, it doesn't make any sense to me because you need to have
Mm,
so much inherent knowledge about it, and that's the same
mm,
with Overwatch. With Overwatch being more chaotic as well, but whereas Counter Strike and Rocket League, it's just easy to see. Okay, well that shot was nice, or
yeah.
that was a sick car, shooting it in the goal, like
Yeah. Yeah.
like football. So in that sense, it doesn't help Overwatch as well. Um, but the thing that League of Legends does is they have this ginormous playing base, and it's only
Hmm.
like, what is it, like 1 to 5% who's actually watching the esports, and it's still getting
Yeah.
millions of views.
Still massive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So like the viewer conversion rate is not that great, whereas in Counter Strike, it's like almost everyone who plays Counter Strike plays it on a team level, and then they watch the esports to become better. So there's like this
Hmm.
progression, and then it's becoming more and more mainstream as well, since it's more friendly for older people or for people who don't know the space to watch it. So it's easy to see if Simple is good or if X
Hmm.
player is bad.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Anyway. As a final thing, I think we can close the Overwatch topic now. As a final thing, let's talk about the major coming in Stockholm in November.
Major. Yeah.
How what are you feeling like? Is it something that you have been religiously waiting for? It's something I've been waiting for. I cannot wait to see it, and I feel like if that is the first land that's coming,
Yeah.
that's going to be so much hype because there
Yeah.
hasn't been a major in 2 years. Like,
Yeah, man. I think there's going to be so much hype on that one. Like, if it's a proper major with no restrictions and no COVID restrictions, it's going to be mad. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've never stepped on a major before. I've never went to a major physically, and I will try and go to this one. I will try and go to this one. I want to because I've witnessed the crowd as a commentator, but also being in the crowd is still an amazing feeling, and I want to go see it. Yeah, no, it's going to be incredible, I think, and well, uh, I'm looking forward to it more than anything. Really, it's going to be really hype.
Yeah, me too. I'm also thinking of going actually. So, as a final thing, anyone you want to shout out, anyone you want to thank, and or anything along those lines?
Yeah, I actually do want to thank a few people. Not going to call out just names. I just want to say the people that really believed in me and kind of pushed me. There were a couple of times through my quote unquote career, I've considered stopping or quitting because I'm not getting anywhere, or gigs weren't showing up, or uni was getting out of hand. Thanks for pushing me to carry on, and thank you for believing in me. You guys know who you are, and thanks to the people in the space that are kind and lovely people and try and interact nicely with others uh, during either working with me or being in the space, like being in a community that is beautiful. Thanks for being an asset to that. To anyone who is a happy person in the space, or even if you're not happy, you're just being friendly and being respectful. I think that attitude needs to be rewarded a little bit more from the people in this space, because that's why this esports community is great. This is why people love doing what they do, because everyone is passionate about the whole thing, and being positively passionate rather than negatively passionate is a really beautiful thing. And yeah, I'd like to thank all the people that actually help with being that.
Amazing.